So as you look ahead against the backdrop of what happened, what is it that you would like to share with the community? What is it that they should really, look at inside themselves in terms of mental resilience? And life is so ephemeral, it's so uncertain. So what do you say to that, Dilip?
I would say that, we are given this one body, and we have to take care of it by doing the right things to the body. People abuse the body in a variety of ways, and I don't know how they can live with themselves. And so if you take care of the body will serve you. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is a lot of people, and I've worked with now 7,000 some clients, and I have 1,000 active clients currently. Most of them come to me because they are not aligned. Their three things I say, their body, their mind, and their spirit are not aligned in what they're engaged in. And what I found myself is when you have that alignment with the body and the mind and the spirit, you get a different energy for yourself. And in my case, I found that to be true. And part of the reason I think that I was able to come back from actual death is because two things. Number one, my family mattered to me. And number two, all these clients that I was working with depended on me to take them to the shore. And I couldn't see abandoning them regardless of what had happened to me. So those are the things that keeps me going. And I don't know if that kind of answers your question, but that's how I see what I've experienced.
One thing that we do is support group. The support group is very important. Now, what happened to you, fortunately, it doesn't happen to many people. You were socially integrated.
Yeah.
And that's a very important component. The Harvard study has also shown, and many other studies shown, that there may be other things not going well with you. And you may even have a couple of bad habits. That is not to say that you should encourage those bad habits, but social integration is very important.
Oh, it is,
and in your case, it is amazing. I mean, at your point of time, you're still doing 1,000 because that keeps you driving. And I think another very big, I would say, lesson from this, Dilip, is that the social integration, and that's what we propagate and champion in Crack the Wellness Code, which is the support group.
I would say that a lot of my clients now, I would say that about 70% of the clientele that I have, as I said, I've worked with 7,000 clients now, maybe even 75%. In that order are Indian clients, because they recognize me as having the understanding of what their struggles are, and so forth. And the remaining 20-30% or so are mixed, Chinese, all other racial compositions. And so what I find particularly with the Indian community is that a lot of what they carry as stress is induced by themselves. In other words, what I found in my own observations is they come to me because they're stressed out over their job. And when I dig through that, double click each time they answer something, what I find is they are themselves the cause of their stress. I'll give you an example. Somebody comes to them and say, okay, I'm behind on my project, Arun, can you help me because my boss will get upset? And Arun said, sure, Jim, I'll help you because you're my friend. And now Arun is working his job and is doing Jim's job, right? And in the process, he's not able to do either one right, plus he has 10 other obligations. So he has created this environment for himself, which is stressing him out. But if he had said, Jim, I can help you, but I cannot do your work for you. Here is where I can help you. I have 1 hour per week. If you can use that wisely, feel free to use it. they do not have the ability to have that kind of an agreement. They just jump in and start doing things. And this happens with their boss, this happens with their colleagues, this happens with almost everybody. So what I've taken away from all of that, and these are thousands of stories, this is not just one episode, is that 90% of the stress that people complain about is caused by their own behavior, right? There is a great saying of a Sufi poet, Omar Khayyam. He said, we choose our joys and sorrows long before we experience them. It's a very profound saying. And so when we take on these things, we already created our joys and sorrows, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And so one thing I would say, not just Indians, but to anybody, right? Other clients also have similar complaints, that if you learn how to manage that, how to deal with that before you're stressed out, you will have a much more productive life, because it's the constant stress, the drip effect, I call it, of cortisol, that creates this condition of heart attacks and tiredness and listlessness and everything that people come to me complaining. For the life coaching part, career coaching is a separate discussion. But that's one thing I would say for people, to learn how to deal with these kinds of crises before they become crises. And they will lead a very long life, aligned life. And I actually help them practice how to do that.